Salam Nek, Grandma. Is Wani here? I've called his name a few times, but there was no answer. There was no sound. Grandma remained quiet. I asked again, Grandma, is Wani? Before I even finished my sentence, Grandma turned and looked at me. That's when I saw her face.
This is creepy with coffee.
This happened to me when I was in my teen years. Back then, we would go everywhere with friends, to school, exploring new areas. Even during Ramadan, we would go Tarawih, a prayer that Muslims perform during Ramadan together. During Ramadan period, my friends and I, our routine is always the same. I would ride my motorcycle, go to my friend's house, pick him up, and we would go to Tarawih together every single day. Came this one night, that routine changed. My friend asked me to pick him up from his grandmother's house. Well, being a young teen with nothing but courage, I just agreed. My friend ever told these stories that people would see all kinds of stuff near his grandma's areas. That's why people don't really pass that area during nighttime. But I didn't think much about it. I have my own experiences since young, so I thought little about it. No problem. Assalamualaikum, Wani. Oh, Wani. I salam, greeted when I reached the house that night. This happened years back. Phone, WhatsApp, it's not a thing yet. We still have to shout for our friends when we were at their house. In front of the house, I saw potted plants that was arranged nicely. Some were hanging too. Since the first greeting, nobody answered. I gave salam again, until eventually, on my fourth greetings, someone answered my salam. Assalamualaikum, Wani. Oh, Wani. Walaikum. It stopped there. I was weirded out. Who was that? Again, I didn't put much thought into it. I quickly answered, is Wani in? I'm asking Wani for Tarawih. I still didn't see anyone that answered me early on. That's when I heard a long sigh. Low, deep sigh. There were still no signs of people around. I asked another round, is Wani in? It's kinda late for Tarawih. Everything remained still and quiet. Suddenly, a tree in front of the house started shaking. I don't feel any wind blowing, but I can see the tree shaking. And it kept shaking harder and harder. Everything else was not moving except for that one damn tree. I felt something is really off now. I quickly get on my motorcycle and try to ignite it. This is the time when the machine failed me. It just wouldn't start. I can feel my heartbeat now pounding hard. And amidst of all that, suddenly I saw a figure. Seems like an old lady in telekong. An old white prayer garment worn by Muslim women came walking. I breathed an air of relief. I finally see a human being. That's what I thought. The tree stopped shaking at that point. Seeing that figure, I thought it must be Wani's grandmother, although I never met her despite being friends with Wani for years. I got down from my motorcycle and walked towards the grandmother. Manners make a man, right? And as I got nearer, the grandmother seemed to be having her back towards me, as if she was looking at the potted plants. All people's habit, I suppose, I said to myself. Salam Nek, Grandma. Is Wani here? I've called his name a few times, but there was no answer. There was no sound. Grandma remained quiet. I asked again, Grandma, is Wani? Before I even finished my sentence, Grandma turned and looked at me. That's when I saw her face. Her face was all bloody, as if she had just buried her face into a bloodied corpse. One of her eyes was bloodshot and the other one was all white. and her tongue was out and it was so long until it dangles in front of her chest. She smiled cheek to cheek looking at me. It was for that split second I saw that thing's face and I collapsed, fainted. When I opened my eyes, I was already at home. There were plenty of people surrounding me. I was a little blur. Am I dead? I questioned myself. Why is there so many people surrounding me? But none of those people looked familiar to me. I tried to get up, but I felt too heavy. I couldn't get up. I couldn't even make any noise. I was looking for my parents or at least a face that are familiar to me, but I just couldn't move. Then I tried calming myself down and I said all the prayers that I could memorize. I closed my eyes and with God's permission, I opened my eyes again. That's when I saw my parents. My mom was crying her eyes out, and this time I can speak. I asked, "What happened?" Then they told me the whole story. Apparently, I was in a coma for an entire week. They found me unconscious at the house. When I was at the hospital, the doctor couldn't find what's wrong with me, and that is when my family seek help from an ustaz, a Muslim religious specialist. The ustaz said the thing that I saw was actually a jinn that the owner has abandoned. Seeing me appeared at the house, that is how it took a liking and wanted to make me its new owner. Hence, it stayed with me throughout the entire duration that I was unconscious. Ustaz continued saying that only my own spirit can fight it, else the jinn would successfully took over my body, and if that's the case, things would get a lot more complicated. But good thing that I had iron spirit. Strong, said the Ustaz. My friend Wani did pay me a visit, and according to him, his grandma's house doesn't even have one pot of plant. And he also said the house that I was at had been abandoned for long. No wonder they like you. Thought you wanted to be friends, Wani said sarcastically with a laugh. Ever since that experience, I only performed tarawih at home. Never would I wander out late at night ever again.